Yo, what's good? I'm back for my first review of 2026. Last night, I got to see Primate. It was the Scream Unseen. Now, already beforehand, I already knew it was going to be Primate because, that's like the first major horror movie that's coming out this year. So I already knew going into the Scream Unseen that it would be Primate. And it was Primate. And going into it, I was actually really excited. I saw the trailer multiple times and I thought, yeah, this looks fun. It's a creature feature. A rabid chimpanzee kills a bunch of teens in Hawaii. So it sounded good, and I came out pleasantly surprised. Now this film is rated R, which is great. I thought that it could have been PG-13, but when I saw the Scream Unseen, it said rated R, so I'm like, oh hell yeah, I love that shit. You feel what I'm saying? And they don't hold back. What I will say is the best thing about this movie is the kills, which is surprising because going into it, I knew that I would have a good time and there would be some decent kills, but I didn't think it would be as good as it was. Now I did count the kills. There was a total of 6 kills in the movie, and a total of 3 survivors. And I'm not counting Ben, who is our main antagonist, the chimpanzee. I'm not counting him as a character. You feel me? So yeah, all the kills and the gore were really good. Like practically, visually, it was really good. And I think people are gonna come out of this thinking, yeah, the kills were pretty good. If anything. Now, in terms of the story was fine. It was fine. A bunch of teens going to Hawaii. It's about this girl, Lucy. She goes back to her house in Hawaii. She brings a friend. Her friend brings her friend, and then they meet up with a few boys on the plane, and they come back later on for like a fun little gag. They were enjoyable, and one of the best friend of Lucy, she also has a brother, and Lucy has a little sister and her dad who is deaf, and then there's Ben. Now the movie starts off in the future. We see this guy, this doctor, get his face ripped clean off, which when that happened, I was like, okay, I know I'm in for something special here. And then they cut back a few hours earlier, to how that led up to it. So basically, Ben gets bit by this thing. I forgot what it was, and it gives him rabies, and he goes crazy. Um, but yeah, this movie's very short. It's like an hour 29, so it gets right into it. Like, there's not a lot of like bullshit. They set up the characters, they set up the relations of the characters. Lucy has a crush on the best friend's brother, but the brother has a thing for the um his sister's friend that she brought along. Let me get their names real quick, so because this sounds a little confusing. One second. Okay, I'm back now. Okay, Lucy's best friend is Kate. I'm pretty sure that's what it says. And then the friend that Kate brought along is Hannah, and the that's the girl that Nick, who is Kate's brother, that's who he's interested in, while Lucy is interested in Nick. And then Lucy's little sister Erin is not really, like, she's like kind of there. She's not super important, but like, she wasn't bad. She was cool. She was just kind of there. And then we have the 2 guys from the plane. Drew, who was very funny in his small little role. He was very enjoyable. And then the other guy, what's the other guy? Phil, it says. So Drew and Phil. And then we have the dad, Adam, who again is deaf. So we do get some sign language subtitles. Those moments weren't awkward, because sometimes it can be. It was pretty chill. Basically, Erin's a little mad at Lucy because she hasn't been home very often. But they eventually make up, and then they start partying, having fun, this, that, and the third. The dad leaves to do some book signing, so they leave the kids alone. So basically, it's just Lucy, Erin, Kate, Hannah, and Nick all in the house. Drew and Phil don't show up until way later. So it's just those five and Ben. So yeah, Ben gets bit. He kills the doctor. Then he attacks everyone else. And for a majority of the movie, they are stuck in the pool. Now, I guess I could just go through all the kills. So the next person to die is Nick. After, well, let's first, before that, him and Hannah have a little hookup, and that makes Lucy sad. And then Nick's plan is to try to push Ben off the ledge of the pool, because there's the pool and then it's just a fucking cliff. So he attempts that. Ben grabs his arm and flings him off the cliff, and we see him fall, and his head just straight into one of the rocks, and it was amazing. It was amazing. Like, the fact that it reminds me of a little bit of Until Dawn. A lot of people didn't like the Until Dawn movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, but one thing that you cannot disagree with me on, in my opinion, is the kills. The kills in Until Dawn were fantastic. The practical effects and visually, it was amazing. And I feel like this is the same case with this. The story isn't super strong with Primate. The characters aren't super memorable, but the kills are there, and the characters are likable enough to where, they aren't like insufferable. They are a little stupid at times, but it's fun, it's entertaining, and it keeps you engaged. That's what I will say. So yeah, I feel like the highlights of this movie were the kills for sure. Then the next person to die is Kate. She gets her head smashed with a rock, which was a little surprising. I was expecting her to like low-key live, but I guess not. Then we have Drew. So Drew and Phil, they pull up because the girls call them on their phone before it gets destroyed. They pull up. Drew, they're just like the bros. They are clueless. They're drunk. They're just trying to crack some buns. You feel what I'm saying? Because earlier the girls were like prank calling them, telling them, "Oh yeah, come over and like crack and shit." So they were like, "I bet." So they pull up. Drew has this really funny scene with Ben in the bed until it ultimately ends with him getting his jaw just ripped clean off, which was, again, fantastic. We see it all. And then Phil, the black one, he dies off screen. He just gets like kind of whacked a few times after being like a dumbass and not paying attention. And then we have Hannah, who her death was kind of spoiled in the trailer. She's the girl in the car who gets like yanked back in after Ben opens the trunk, which he gets those keys from Drew, their car. And then he just beats her to death and just like rips her skin off and shit, and it was pretty gnarly. And then the dad finally comes back. The three of them have one final little showdown. Also, Erin, the little sister, she catches a few strays. She gets bit in her leg and her skin gets ripped off her leg. And then she gets scratched up a bunch on her back. And we see that shit, and it's brutal. Lucy gets her fucking wrist twisted and just beat on a bunch. And the dad also gets beat up a bunch as well. So yeah, they don't pull their punches when it comes to niggas getting just murked and beat the fuck up. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, they eventually kill Ben, and the three live happily ever after. Lucy might have a little bit of trauma, but they'll be fine. So will Erin, even though she got bit. She's fine. So yeah, overall, I think this was a solid start to 2026. I came into this, already feeling pretty optimistic, and I came out really satisfied. I came out really, really satisfied. And yeah, I'm gonna see it again Thursday, probably with my mom so they could see it. But yeah, I would say this was a good start for horror in 2026. And next month, Scream 7, baby. Scream 7, which I'm very pumped for. But yeah, man, that's it. This has been my review for Primate. I had a really good time with this one. You just shut off your brain, go in there, have a good time, enjoy the violent, gnarly kills. They put some effort into it. And yeah, also the score in the background was pretty like it gave me like a galaxy space vibe to it, like some Mario If you ever heard of like Mario Kart Rainbow Row, that soundtrack, the soundtrack for this movie kind of reminded me of that. I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Excuse me. Uh, and yeah, that's it, man. First review for 2026 done. Word. I'm the hero. Run it back. I'm the Hero Light Legend, Tyree Figueroa, signing out. Peace.